Does the term Oniforce mean anything to you? Well, if you'd bought one on Sunday, you could have doubled your money overnight. What about the Bored Ape Yacht Club, or Bored Punks, or Boneheads, or Pudgy Penguins? If you've not been spending any time or money in the metaverse lately, you may not know about these NFT projects. We've been dabbling in the NFT metaverse for months now, and in the process, we've accumulated over $1 million worth of non-fungible tokens. YouTube stars like Logan Paul and collectible enthusiasts like Gary Vee, they've been pumping these NFT projects from obscurity to hundreds of millions of dollars in transaction value. Even major companies like Visa are getting into the game. They bought their first CryptoPunk last week. Prices are insane. In the past 24 hours, a CryptoPunk sold for $5.3 million. An Art Blocks curated Fidenza sold for $3.3 million. A Bored Ape for $1.4 million. Logan Paul just bought a Oniforce for $624,000. So the question today, is there a rational way to play the NFT insanity? Or does the prospect of unlimited number of art projects and games and fan tokens and avatars that literally anybody can mint make NFTs too common to actually hold their value beyond the initial hype? Or is there an opportunity to arbitrage that hype? Today on Dumb Money, we're going to try to figure out if this is the top and time to sell our NFTs, or if there's room to arbitrage, or if we think now might just be the beginning of the future of the metaverse. We are Dumb Money.
Three friends who turned $30,000 into $30 million using nothing more than Twitter and a zero commission trading account.
The suits that work on Wall Street, they call those people the smart money. That's not us.
Our goal is to help level the playing field for everyday investors.
We are Dumb Money.
Hey there, Dave here, along with Chris and Jordan, and good morning, apes. We are Dumb Money. This is Dumb Money Live. We're going to take attendance this morning. Two things you need to do real quick. Smash the like button and drop a comment in the live chat. Let us know where in the world you are watching us from right now. Chris, Jordan, good morning. I know Chris has been on quite a buying spree. I've been watching the Dumb Money profile on OpenSea all weekend, and I see you've been buying a ton of women on World of Women. You've been selling some Me-Bits. Of course, you're into Bored Apes. You spent 30 ETH on one, which is about $100,000. So I have to start by asking the question that is on everyone's mind. Have you lost your mind?
Why don't you start by asking a question of why would someone want to watch this show? Like, and I already saw a couple people complaining, I wish I missed the old Dumb Money. I can't wait till the fall comes back. Like, can I just say why you should watch this show? If you missed out on early days crypto, because crypto has been going on for 7 years now, right? People have been talking about, wouldn't you love to go back and just understand what exactly you missed? Well, I did.
Well,
I
more than
missed out
7 years, right? I mean, Bitcoin's been around since '09, right?
No, Dor, I'm not talking about how long it's been around. I'm talking about like if you would have been there 7 years ago,
Okay.
right, when it really started to accelerate. Why did you miss it? Like what exactly did you miss? And what you probably missed was kind of what was happening inside the culture of crypto. You didn't quite connect with it. You didn't understand it. You weren't really there. You weren't part of that inner circle. You didn't understand the level of commitment that a lot of crypto investors had to the crypto sector, the nature of hodling. You didn't get that stuff, right? So let me just ask a question right now. Why should you watch this show? Because I have been deep in this space, like deep, going all the way back to March, especially the last few weeks. I am up every morning till 3 a.m. I'm in the Discord groups. I'm not there pumping and trying to trade. I'm really there for one reason and one reason only. I'm trying to understand how deep this goes. I'm trying to understand the culture of NFT collectors. I'm trying to understand what this is going to look like over the next 1, 5, and 10 years. And there's no way to have a proper opinion on this unless you are in there and you are really absorbing the culture of it. You understand the behavior. Why are people spending this much money? Are they insane? Are they just trying to pump? Are they just trying to hype themselves? Are they just trying to get digital clout? Like, there's a lot of theses out there, but if you're just going to be on the outside reading a news article, right? Like, you don't get it. I'm doing the hard work, not just for this team here at Dumb Money, but I'm doing the hard work so that you can watch this 1 hour episode today, and I'm going to unleash everything that I learned and my thesis. You can agree with it or not agree with it, okay? But I put a crap load of work into this as a social arb investor. All right. And today is the day for me to share that with our community, okay? So I hope you guys appreciate the work I've done, and I'm going to share it with you to poke holes or to disagree or agree. But dude, trust me, you're going to be thankful that you didn't have to do what I've done the last 2 weeks, because I have been not sleeping, and I really have a grasp. I really think I understand it, and I'm going to explain my thesis today.
Well, and Jordan and I are here to be the rationality, the voice of common sense on all of this too, because you get into these little like super focused niches where you're researching and you find these communities and you become a part of it, and then all of a sudden it is the thing. We're here to question you.
Okay, so great. And I appreciate both of you for doing that. And by the way, you both questioned me. The whole world questioned me when I bought 3 CryptoPunks for about $110,000 between the 3 of them. And that seemed like absolute insanity 4 months ago, and they're worth $1 million today. Now, I'm not going to say that, I'm not here to tout how much money I made in CryptoPunks, but it seemed insane. But my thesis on why I purchased those CryptoPunks was not because I thought they were the greatest thing in the world. It wasn't because I was like, oh, CryptoPunks are everything. I had a very defined thesis, and that thesis is playing out exactly how I thought it would, quicker, way quicker than I thought it would. But the reason why CryptoPunks are accelerating the way that they are, and why my $100,000 is worth $1 million right now, if I were to sell them today, is because they have become the gold standard in this NFT world. They are now being institutionalized. They are now being fractionalized. And if you go back to our episodes when we talked about CryptoPunks, those are the things I talked about in my thesis, which is exactly what is happening. That is exactly why Visa bought a CryptoPunk. There are funds that are fractionalizing CryptoPunks and buying them. Okay, can I just talk about my thesis on NFTs in general? Because let me just get it out. And before I do, we're not financial advisors. I'm not telling you what to do. This is what I'm doing. This is my thesis on my portfolio. Please don't copy it. Poke holes in it. Put your own spin on it.
When you say that your CryptoPunks are worth $1 million, I want to understand how you're getting to that, because you don't have offers for $1 million. That's a theoretical number that you've come up with. You spent $280,000, 500.
No, I did not. No, I did not,
well,
Dave.
That's, at today's Ethereum value, you spent 85.
Well, why do you say I spent them? I did not spend that much money.
I'm looking at your account right now. This is right here.
Dave, that's not how much money I spent. You're taking what Ethereum is worth now, not what Ethereum was worth when I bought them.
Yes. So what was Ethereum worth when you bought them? Because right now the Ethereum you spent would have been worth $280,000.
Yeah,
so you have an opportunity cost of $280,000.
It was definitely under $150,000 what I spent.
You spent 85 Ether on these 3 punks that we see on the screen right now.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to figure out, like, would you have been better off spending that Ether, or just holding on to that Ether and keeping it for $280,000, or would you have been better off investing that money into a stock, or is this really like that kind of an investment for you?
It's a roughly $1 million of value based on the attributes and what experts in that community have told me I should list them for right now and sell them for if I wanted to sell them, because I've been having those conversations, right?
But you currently don't have offers on any of these punks. So there's actually the liquidity of these markets is one of the problems that I have with it. It's easy
Dave,
to buy one, but it's easy to overpay for one too, and the ability to sell one is where I think
that's not
there might
true.
be a problem.
That's not, the floor is $250,000.
Right?
No,
Dave.
Dave.
You can say
Dave,
that there's a floor, but that doesn't mean that somebody's going to buy it, Chris.
Yes, it does, Jordan. Yes, it does. If you put, these are not floor punks, okay? But if I were to throw these punks at the floor right now, within 5 minutes they would get bought. 5 minutes.
Maybe.
It's not. No, not maybe, Jordan. You just don't know the market, dude. You know what you know. You don't know this, Jordan. I'm telling you, you're wrong when it comes to that.
Okay.
These punks, if I were to throw these punks on at the floor right now, they would be gone in 5 minutes. Period. It's not as liquid as the stock market. I agree. Obviously, it's a CryptoPunk market. But if you understand the CryptoPunk market and what attributes are worth, it's debatable whether these are worth 1.1 million, 950,000. But at 750,000 for the 3, it would be a 5-minute sale. Okay, that's just the way it is, because there are funds that will identify the attributes in them, and if I list these with my attributes, they will instantaneously purchase them. Instantaneously. That's the way the punk market works right now. So like, I'm just telling you, I understand this, okay? And so there's a lot of things that are debatable, but that's not really debatable. As of this moment in time, if I list those punks at the floor, they will sell immediately. Okay, sorry. All I'm saying is, guys, listen,
So that half-calf coffee you had has really kicked in. I'm also wondering where you're getting your floor, because CryptoPunks is different and it doesn't trade on OpenSea. It trades in its own universe. Where are you getting your data on the floor pricing?
I mean, you could on Larva Labs. Just Google CryptoPunks for sale, and you'll see what the floor is. The cheapest one right now. It's simple. Just Google CryptoPunks for sale. Hit it, lowest to highest. Those floor punks are floor attribute punks, and it's literally, if you even put a floor attribute punk for like 10 grand less than the current punk, it will sell very quickly, right? If you put a non-floor punk at the floor, algorithms will acquire it instantaneously, because that's how big that's how high volume the punk market
what I'm
is.
saying is that you're right. The lowest price one right now is 73.97 ETH. It's $234,000 US equivalent, but that transaction hasn't gone through for that lowest one. That's just the lowest one.
The floor is constantly liquidating, right? And so like I said, if you were to put a high attribute punk at the floor, it would be gone in a second. If you put a low attribute punk at the floor, if you need to sell it right away, you might need to list it 10, 20,000 below the floor to sell right away, but it will sell right away, right? It's turned into algorithmic type trading behavior on the punk market, at least, right? Because it's the largest, most established. It's like taking. Listen, it is what it is. But let's not talk about that any longer, because it's not going to get us to where we want to get to on this show. Well, the question we need to answer on this show is, what is the future of NFTs? Why do people purchase NFTs? And I'm going to give you my thesis the same way I gave you my thesis on CryptoPunks back in March, or whenever it was that we did that show. I don't remember, March, April. I'm going to give you my thesis on NFTs at large. So, I think the NFT market, at least on the upside, is somewhat correlated to the crypto market. We have minted so many new millionaires, decamillionaires, I don't know, 9-figure millionaires over the past 18 to 24 months in the crypto market. And there are really two themes. One, people that have made that much money in crypto, generally, they don't like to pull too much of their money outside the crypto ecosystem for various reasons. Sometimes it's taxes, but they just believe in crypto, so they don't want to really pull their money out of it. But two, most people that are in that crypto world, most, not all, but most, they are not looking to pull their money out of crypto to buy a yacht, to travel on a private plane with all their party friends that they don't have, okay? These people, that's not the type of people that there's too many people here, right? Some people do, but for the most part, they're not looking to just cash out in life and start traveling and spending nutty money on yachts and all this stuff. So, most of these people also are not traditional art collectors, right? Like, think about how many true art collectors are in the world. These are young people, they're techno geeks, right? They're crypto kids.
We've hit a point, though, like you say, where the absolute cheapest price you can get into a CryptoPunk is, $250,000.
I'm not talking about
out of the reach of the people
CryptoPunks.
you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it's not out of the reach, first of all, but I'm talking about NFTs in general, the full spectrum NFTs, and where this market is headed. So understand everything that I just said. Now understand these people do want to do something with all their crypto gains, the millions and millions of dollars in crypto gains, right? And NFTs are a fun, artistic, community-driven place that they could actually engage with. They can actually do something with their crypto that they think is an investment, whether it is or not. They feel like it has investment attributes to it. They feel like it has fun attributes to it. They feel like it has artistic attributes to it. They feel like it has community, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now, community attributes to it. Now, I've been spending a lot of time in these Discord channels, and what you'll find on a Friday night or Saturday night, or even last night, on a Monday night, there are fairly large active communities that are in there, and everybody's kind of acting like an art critic. They're talking about, oh, this attribute is undervalued. Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful attribute. Like, I wish I could own one, or I'm going to buy one, or I'm so happy I got one. And they're like showing off not only the ones that they do own, maybe somewhat for digital clout, but they're really kind of expressing themselves in an artistic way that you can tell a lot of these people probably have never done that before. And quite honestly, myself, Dave, I have a couple pieces of art. All the art in my house has been done by my father-in-law is a great watercolorist. He has most of the art in my house. My older brother was an artist. I have a couple of his pieces, and then one of my friends, Tyler Ramsey, is like our beautiful piece in our dining room. I love all of our art, but I don't really constantly go out looking for art, critiquing art. I'm not visiting museums.
You're not an
I'm not
art
looking
collector.
at galleries.
You like
not a
art
collector.
for having it on your wall to look at. You're not
But you know what,
collecting
Dave?
it to watch it appreciate and value.
Yeah, but you know what's really interesting, Dave, is over the past few months, in hanging out in some of these Discord groups and looking at some of these NFT projects, I'm really interested. Like, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm kind of engaging. I'm kind of starting to critique some of this, whether you think it's stupid art or not, whether you think the ape project is ridiculous or the Women of the World project is ridiculous. Like it doesn't matter what people think or CryptoPunks. I'm having fun with it. I enjoy it. It's personal to me, and I'm kind of getting in these communities, and they're pulling me in. And at a certain point, I'm like, oh my God, I got to stop, because like I'm getting like brainwashed thinking these attributes are super artistic when maybe they're not. But like,
that's all I'm trying to get at, is that I think you might have gone a little overboard in these communities and are thinking that these things are worth more than they actually are.
Dave, they're
or
worth
that
what
they'll
people are
hold their
willing
value.
to pay for them, Dave. And what's
Well, and
happening?
that was my point about your CryptoPunks.
Yeah,
As
but
soon,
Dave,
as soon as you offer one of those for sale, then we'll know what it's actually worth.
that's
Also,
the
we're
dumbest
not
thing I
buying
ever heard.
art, right? I mean, you're buying a token that has a URL in the metadata that links to the art, and that URL could go away, right? It
Okay,
probably will
Dave.
go away. It'll probably change over time, and it's not like solely owned by you. As many people as the artist wants can have a copy of that JPEG or the GIF or whatever it is.
That's the
It's
ownership
insane.
rights.
First of all, it's not true, Jordan, because a
It
lot of
is
these
true.
NFT projects are giving you license rights now, okay? So just understand that. A lot of these new ones, they're giving you license rights. Same thing with Bored Apes. They're giving you license rights
That's
and
fine,
ownership
but what I'm
of your
saying
ape.
is when Bored Apes goes out of business eventually and their URL goes down, where does the art go?
Where does the
Well,
art
you'll
go?
have
Where does
downloaded
the
your own
NFT
personal
point to?
copy.
I mean, that's all. The NFT just points at a URL, right?
It's a description. No, it's a
There's
description.
not enough metadata within the NFT.
It's a
to
description of the
actually hold
metadata
digital
baked
art
into the
itself.
chain.
So it's either
it-
metadata describing the NFT or it's a link to a URL. Those are that's the way the
Okay.
NFTs like conceptually work.
Let me just say two things. First of all, Dave, go try to sell a ton of Apple. Maybe no one, when you put that big of a chunk of Apple, maybe no one's going to will it. You know how bids work? They have a bid for Apple. The second you actually put it for sale, maybe it drops, because it's all bullshit, as we know now, like a lot of these tickers, right? So like, you can say what you're saying theoretically about anything. The
No, I mean,
stock
I'm not
market
talking
is...
about the bid at all. I'm talking about what you're actually buying, right?
Okay, Jordan, okay, when you're buying a piece of art you pay for a red square on a piece of fabric for $2 million.
I wouldn't, right?
You-
But that's just me. There are people
But-
that would do
but
it.
people
what they're
have been
buying
for
is
generations.
provenance. Normally, they're buying the provenance and the art and that whole thing by it. This is like trying to put some provenance type situation on something that's totally reproducible, right? I mean, it's literally every time a computer looks at it, it's being reproduced. You realize
Jordan,
that, right? So
anybody
it's
can
not like you have a
reproduce any
physical
art.
copy of something that's an artwork that has a provenance that goes along with it. That's scarce.
Bullshit.
Digital is non-scarce by nature.
Bullshit.
It's totally non-scarce.
I'm sorry for cursing. That is ridiculous.
It's
is
not ridiculous.
equally as scarce. It is the scarcity exists
I agree with
in
that.
digital.
I could
All
get
right, Jordan.
the URL for whatever and put that piece of art as my background. Right now, I've done it. Like my background is actually all of your CryptoPunk NFTs.
Jordan, you can do that with any piece of art in the world. You can do this with the Mona Lisa.
So you can take
Jordan,
a picture of it. I actually have the exact same ones and zeros as you have with your purchase.
Jordan, you understand that people make, to the human eye, indiscriminable copies of the Mona Lisa?
It's not the exact same. It's not the exact same. And if you have somebody go and test
Who
all of
cares?
those pigments and the inks and things like that, they can tell the difference. With a digital copy, it's the exact thing.
But
same
Jordan,
thing.
you can
Well,
tell
the
the
two
difference in the
JPEGs,
blockchain.
they're literally
You can tell the
exact
difference in the
same
blockchain
thing.
of who owns it. It's
You can tell,
different
and
but
that's
the
the
same.
only thing
Not
that's the one thing that
provenance.
NFT
You don't-
has is
you don't have an indistinguishable piece of art. You've got the provenance, right? I'll give you that, which is kind of in the blockchain. That's fine. But the actual art piece itself can be replicated as many times as a computer.
All right, so Jordan, you're saying that the difference in having an expert under microscope, that even they have been proven not to tell the, just so you know, when it comes to art, even they have been proven to get duped on fine art with a microscope.
There are great Netflix series on these.
Yeah. So you're saying, you're telling me that when a piece of art is so perfect,
no, what I'm saying is between the original and the fake, you can eventually always tell the difference, right? And so eventually they're all gonna get caught, and most of the time,
not necessarily. Because okay, wine.
Irresponsible in paying attention to provenance, right? They'll let a hole go in the provenance, and they'll be like, "I'm sure it's fine," right? That's how most of this fraud ends up happening in the art world, right? With Bitcoin or with these smart contracts, maybe that helps a little bit. But what I'm saying, my argument is that you've got the provenance piece, which is great. So I think that's a useful tool. I think as far as NFTs go, there's that useful tool. What I'm saying is you're buying a dumb GIF or a dumb JPEG, and it doesn't make any sense because you can reproduce that as many times as you want.
To you. It doesn't make sense to you.
Right.
To you, okay? The same way, Jordan, that it doesn't make sense to me
I agree.
to spend
I agree. There are major auction houses that have sold fake paintings for millions of dollars, right? And then the lawsuits happen, right? Once it all
doesn't matter. They're still all screwed. But how many people have fake art? They don't even know they have fake art. Okay. And by the way, to me, it's insane spending $5 million on a red square on a piece of fabric. Okay. To me, but to someone else, that is
I'm not going to buy either, right?
You're right. You won't buy either. I will not buy the red square. Okay. I also probably won't spend millions of dollars on an NFT either. But to me, I think at a certain price range, I have an understanding and I have an appreciation and I see where it's going and it makes sense.
Talk about the huge waste in natural resources that's going on, right? The huge waste in electricity by all cryptocurrency, not just NFTs. So I was reading an article that talked about to mint a new NFT, it costs the same amount of energy as somewhere between a handful of weeks and 1 to 2 years as a solo person will consume in the United States. That's a lot of energy.
All right, Jordan, let me ask you this. How much energy does it take to move a multi-million-dollar painting on a boat through transport, having 8 guys in specialty vans driving around and then it has to be hold on. It has to be stored.
Right, hold on.
It has to be stored in an HVAC.
Those things are already happening, but now you're doing more, right? So now you're doing.
It has to be stored.
It's an
HVAC controlled room.
In there, so
in an HVAC controlled room for eternity, just to try to keep it from corroding.
Same thing.
Okay.
So same thing. You're going to be having maintain these digital images for eternity on some sort of medium in the cloud, multiple copies, all these different things.
True. You're right. But you know what I'm saying is
of the minting is like you can't ever get that back, right? So we're at a very critical time in global warming right now, and this is when this whole thing's taking off, and you've got people rushing in on this digital gold mine of NFTs and just spiking up the level of emissions that we're producing right now.
Jordan, you can't get any of that, but you can't get the shipping gas. You can't get the gas that's coming out of the vans back. You can't get the refrigeration emissions back. You can't get any of that back either. So I agree with what you're saying, but what you're saying exists for almost everything when it comes to this stuff. That's all I'm telling you.
No, what I'm saying is that it's more so with the minting of these NFTs.
I don't know that you've done the homework to prove that it's more than an equal piece of art that's selling for the same amount of money. I don't know that you've done the work to prove that.
But we can. We can try to figure that out.
That sounds like another episode. What is the worst? What is worse for the planet? NFTs or oil paint?
Man, all I'm trying to say.
But today
guys,
we need to talk about what is the actual value of these things. That's what whether or not one is worse or better, or I could light something on fire or what. What are you actually going to do with
I can tell you
this
the value,
thing
Dave.
that you spent a lot of money on, and that nobody has offered you a single dollar for? I just checked the logs. You don't have a single offer for this particular CryptoPunk.
Dave, again, you're being ridiculous when it comes to that argument. I'm not even going to address it anymore. But what I will address is everything is worth what someone is willing to pay for it. So what we should be discussing right now is what we believe people will be willing to pay for NFTs for the next 1+2 decades. Because for me, NFTs are a hyper long-term social arb trade. If the crypto market, and this is a big if, guys, if crypto continues to become a stabilized industry sector and continues to grow, I think that NFTs will continue to trade as an elevated alternative asset class, okay? I think that market will continue to grow. I think that I still believe, like Gary Vee says, I do believe that 90 to 95 or maybe even 99% of NFT projects will go down in value. I believe they will get decimated. I think most of the projects we see right now you will end up losing money on. Okay, that's part of my thesis, but I think there will be winners.
So how do you pick the ones that aren't going to lose money? There's so many, and that's part of my argument. Is anyone can do it?
Twitter account, and he just buys whatever Logan's going to buy.
Hey, no, that's not. It's part of it. It's part of it. But here's the thing. I think we will see NFTs evolve. So right now, summer of 21, we're in like NFTs 1.0, which is 10,000 penguins and 10,000 ladies and 10. So I think if you were to ask me how we look back at this in 10 years, at this 1.0 stage, I don't think anybody's making 10,000 pigs in 2028. What I do think will happen is we will look back at summer of 2021, and of the hundreds, if not thousands of NFT projects, a few of those will remain iconic as like the historic Gen 1 NFTs that people want to own a piece of, okay? Yes. Just like any moment in art history, okay?
And that was my argument in favor of CryptoPunks. It was the OG. It's the one that, if you're in it for historic value, it will always be the first. And people will have been the first one to do a giant JPEG that sold for multiple millions. But now, I mean, it's becoming more common. This piece of art right here sold for $5 million.
Yes, it did. And by the way,
I'm going to print that out and hang it. I think it looks cool. I'm gonna make a copy of that and hang it on my wall.
I'm gonna make that my next.
Isn't
background.
that cool?
No, that'll be my laptop background, and then my desktop. You know what's so crazy?
That if Jordan makes it his laptop background, and just with you putting that on this show, it will likely increase the value over time, not decrease the value of that NFT. That's what I believe. Okay.
Well, it sold for $3.3 million 24 hours ago. So yes, I don't know if it's going to go up from there. Like I think who's going to pay more than $3.3 million for that? And whoever's holding it now, they can't do anything with it other than sell it
for more than 3.3. You don't know.
Jordan, I have my limits too. Listen, I have in my. There will be a point in time when I likely exit at least one, if not more, of my CryptoPunks. That time is not right now. I'm going to play it by ear, day by day. Okay. But I do believe that there will be winning projects that come out of this summer that 10 years from now will likely be trading dramatically higher than they are today. I don't know for sure what they are. You can see what I buy. Listen, I'm having fun with women of the world. Like I think that's a really fun project. I have no idea what's going to happen with that project. It's just one that I'm kind of using as an experiment to really understand the culture behind some of the decision making. It's a small project. It hasn't really super popped. I probably overspent on some.
You bought like a dozen. I think about 15 or 16 of those over the last like 24 hours.
Yeah, I have. Okay, so like I'm experimenting. Kind of like Gary Vee says, I'm doing a lot of experimentation. So do not copy what I do because you don't understand why I'm doing what I do, right? So like I am experimenting right now. But listen, I do think there'll be winning projects. I do think the next phase of NFT will generative gaming type NFTs. I think there will be winning projects there. I don't know what they are, but how will we assess them as investors? So I think one of the things you're trying to do if you're investing in the NFT space is just like any other form of art or any other form of investment. It's a lot about what people get behind, and they get behind them for different reasons. Sometimes it's artistic, sometimes it's hype, sometimes it's celebrities, sometimes it's the community. It could be numerous things. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but you have to pay attention attention to those drivers we are aware
No,
of.
no. There's one reason that people are doing this. There's literally one reason, right? And it's the same that they're investing in Bitcoin. They're thinking they're going to make a profit down in the future.
That's not true.
That's it. That's 100%
not entirely
true. That's 100%
That's
true.
a big part of it.
There might be
That's
like a
big
handful
reason.
of these larger art projects, like the one that you just showed, or the big one that sold for like tens of millions of dollars a few months ago. That somebody might actually, maybe they actually like whatever the art piece was, but I would guess that that's a very small percentage of this.
Jordan, why do you think most people buy fine art for millions of dollars? Is it only
because
for
it's
the
an investment? It's a way to
appreciation?
store money. It's a way to store money. It's a way to
Some
store
people,
wealth.
For some people, it is.
No, for everybody. I mean, that's literally probably 95% of the reason that people
but
do any of this stuff.
95% is not 100%, and for some people they love art. For some people it's a store of wealth. For other people it's an actual investment. They're really active traders in the art market, right? There are numerous reasons. There's numerous reasons why people are buying NFTs. I will agree with you. From the investment side, that's definitely a big piece of it, but it's not the only piece. I'm going to tell you right now, as someone that's spent tremendous time in the discords of some of these projects, Jordan, I don't know that you have, okay? People are spending a huge part of their life in these discords, and it's not all about how I can make money. They are genuinely having an amazing time. It is bringing happiness to their life. It is bringing joy and connectivity to other people who are connecting to these NFT projects in a way that a lot of these people have never connected to art before. You might not understand it. I might not understand it, quite honestly, but it's something that I'm actually seeing.
You can just right-click and you copy it. And then
If it's
not
purely
getting
for
it,
the
Jordan.
visualization of the art, that's what Jordan's saying. If it's for the
if you're into
ability
the-
to resell that art, to be the one who's legally allowed to resell it in a marketplace that exists, that's where the NFT comes in. And I saw the comment that said, and I probably will be eating my words, who's going to be willing to pay more than $3.3 million for that? Yeah, they probably said that at $1.1 million, but I did go back and look at the history of that. It sold 2 months ago for 0.58 ETH, and then sold yesterday for 1,000 ETH. So that's a really good return on investment for that person. But my question is, 2,000 ETH, that just doesn't, it doesn't compute
guys,
to
who's
me.
paying
like
half
the art.
$1 million for a Pokemon card? Who's paying
Exactly.
ridiculous amounts of money for basketball cards?
Oh, but there
ETFs
is actual scarcity in some of those Pokemon cards. So I do.
Well, there's scarcity in
understand the
NFTs
Pokemon
too.
Thesis
Jordan!
more than I understand the NFT thesis.
There's scarcity in NFTs.
You understand it. That's you, but that's you, Jordan. And I appreciate.
But that's the
here's
only lens that I can look at the world through. I
Yeah, you're
have to
right.
view it through my lens.
But let me say this. I think it's really great that we have Jordan on the show right now, because as hard as I'm being on him, because we see it differently, Jordan's perspective on this is way more popular than mine, okay? I would say that 98% of people on Earth think that Jordan is in the right now. 98%. He sees this his way, and that is the majority of people see it Jordan's way. So I'm just being hard on you because I do see it differently. I'm seeing it through the eyes of this growing population of people that are feeding this space. It's what I saw back in March with CryptoPunks. I'm continuing to see it. I think it is crypto driven, okay? I think in 20 years, the number of people that see it my way versus your way will increase. I don't know how much it will increase, but I think it will increase. I don't think the NFT market's going to completely fall apart and go away, and in 5 years, it's going to be like, do you remember the NFT thing? I could be wrong, by the way, but my thesis is that I'm not wrong. My thesis is that NFTs will evolve. Most of these projects will go to the waste. They'll go down to next to zero, okay? But some of them will survive and thrive, and there'll be new projects that will thrive. And think about in 100 years. In 100 years, the concept of digital, it's very different.
No,
than it
I
is
don't
today,
disagree with
okay?
that. And I think since we originally started talking about this, my thesis hasn't changed, in that this is a period of time that's new in NFTs, and it's a period of intense grift and money grabs and people trying to use their celebrity to try to pump the price of assets. But I do think that there is a use for NFTs. Hopefully it can become more energy efficient than it is right now. And I think there's probably some projects under the way to support that. Right now we're not there, but yeah,
so
I do
Jordan, you
actually
were
see some
probably-
usefulness out of the NFTs.
You are probably a little too young to remember in 1998, 99, but Dave can remember because he was there with me. At the birth of the internet, we were in the middle of it, working at Dotcoms. I was in LA, Dave was in LA. I mean, we were in the brunt of it. You know what? I used to call Dave back then and be like, Dave, I feel disgusting. I hate this world we live in because it was nothing but grift. Even executives at the biggest .coms in the world, in my opinion, were all fraudsters. I was essentially a whistleblower at my own company at the time. It was a disgusting atmosphere in 1999. Everyone was out there trying to chase a buck by IPOing companies based on it was just a terrible time in existence, and look at what came out of it. It was creative destructionism. Creative destructionism for the internet age, and it was more disgusting than anything you're seeing right now with the NFT space. I can guarantee you the conversations that are happening in these Discord groups that I'm in are so much more pure than the conversations back in 98, 99 of every single .com chasing their IPO money just with whatever BS they were spewing out in the world, okay? Like, this is part of the process of just generational change in technology and the way we think about something. Like, it's part of the process. It's dirty. There's grifters. Yes, all of the above. But I'm telling you, in my thesis at least, my thesis is I'm an investor. I want to make money. I do. I want to make money. That's what the show's about. It's social arb investing. This is one of the most interesting long-term social arb opportunities I've seen in the market, meaning 5 to 10 year long-term. I will continue to spend between 5 and 20% of my time on this NFT space because I think the next 6 to 24 months is like this golden opportunity where if you can figure out how to invest in some of the projects that will remain, right? Like that will survive this time, there's just tremendous opportunity that I don't think we'll see in 4 years, 5 years. I think the time is now. That's why
I
we're
just
doing
think one
today's
day we're
show.
going to look back at this period of time and we're going to be like, we use this great technology to buy and sell GIFs. Like, this is the dumbest thing I can't believe
You might
that
be
happened.
right. I
So,
hope.
'cause I think the technology is very interesting, intriguing. I think it's got a lot of useful applications that are going to come in the future. I can't get behind buying a GIF with it.
I'm going to say this. I would not have had the opportunity to buy a CryptoPunk for $30,000 and I think $28,000. That's how much I spent on my first two. Like, one was 32, one was 28, something in that range. I would not have had the opportunity to do that if everybody thought like me at that point in time. If everybody thought like me back in March, they would have been $250,000, which is where they are today. But no, people thought differently, right? So it's only because the majority of the world thinks like Jordan thinks right now that I think there is opportunity as a speculator in the NFT space if my thesis is right. And I don't know that it's right, but I think it's right, okay?
Okay, 2 questions for you, Chris.
Yeah.
First one's yes or no. The NFTs you have today, do you
Yeah.
think that these are ones that you will be holding on to for forever and putting in your will? Or are these arbitrage trades that you're trying to play short term?
There's an in-between between those two, Dave. I mean, I'm not going to put them in my will. I'm not going to hold them my whole life, but I'm also they're not short. Most of them are. My big ones are not short term. I don't think my ape is short term. I don't think my CryptoPunks are short term. You can tell I've already put my Meebits up for sale.
Yep.
Definitely all of my women are not all long-term relationships with those World of Women, right? Like, some of them I really love, and some of them I bought because I think they're good value if the women, I don't even know what's going to happen with that project, by the way. That project could go to 0 and I wouldn't be surprised, or it can go up 10x, I wouldn't be surprised.
So like today, August of 2021, what are your criteria to determine which projects you want to invest in versus which ones you think are going to have some hype and then
Yeah.
fizzle to 0?
Okay, I'll answer your question. Spending time in the community and seeing if the communities continue to gain traction, or if the communities start to die out. So as soon as I see a community starting to die out, I will likely start to sell those NFTs. If the communities continue to pick up, now, by the way, CryptoPunks
Now, are you watching
are in
like
their own
Discord for
universe.
that? Is that Twitter? How are you determining the community?
Discord, yeah, they're mostly Discord communities. But with CryptoPunks, it's a very different ballgame. CryptoPunks, they're on an island of their own, and I view them very differently. So remove CryptoPunks from this conversation. As for Bored Ape, as for some of the other ones I'm toying around with, and all the others I'm going to get into over the next year or two, I will keep a close eye in the community, and I think the communities are strong and growing. I think that is probably the best way to gauge durability of the NFT project, because the NFT project has to continue to reinvent itself, right? So the NFT
Because
project,
it really comes down to the founders of the project being able
Yes.
to build a hype engine at the beginning and continue that hype engine long term, or else people will just forget and like, oh, great,
okay,
I
so
have one of
Dave,
these
do you
in
want
my
to know
wallet
why?
that
You want to know
that
why I
just...
invested in the? What can you say? Because I'm not going to say it correctly. The force, the was it the O? How do you say it? I'm going to
Oni.
mispronounce it. What? Oni force?
O-N-I. You pronounce it like
Yeah.
O-N-I because the 0 in
Yeah.
1 is
The
pronounced like...
reason why I invested in that project was because what I was reading and what I was hearing from people in my universe that have extensions into kind of the NFT world was that the founders of that project were really great, and that they really had plans for a really deep project, and that the project had a lot to it, and it was sustainable and durable, and that to me meant a lot. And I think word got out to other influential people, and they decided to put their money behind those founders, right? And that's why that project started to pop. Okay, so each project's going to have a different reason why you might want to invest in it. The Bored Ape project, right? Bored Ape Yacht Club came out as one of the absolute strongest communities around at the time. Like, no one had seen a community that strong, and my interest in that was purely based on community. Some of these other ones I'm just experimenting with, pure experimentation. I'm not overthinking it. I'm dabbling in it. Maybe I'm trading them. I might be in them for an hour or a day, and I might trade out of them, or I might stay in them. So do not look at what I own and think that that means anything, because it definitely does not. But Dave, I could see myself owning some of these for 10 plus years, and I could see myself trading out of them, in a matter of weeks to months to years as well. It really just depends on, like, you know how I view my investments, Dave? I could be out of everything in my portfolio tomorrow morning if the information changes, okay? I only trade information. I only trade change in behavior or culture and how that impacts the asset. So obviously it's a little bit different when it comes to NFTs than it is for publicly traded entities, but there still is something driving my NFT interest and my purchases. And when that changes, so I got into the 0-1 force, right? Like, I got into that because of the founders. The founders fall apart tomorrow, I'm probably out of that one, right? The Bored Ape community is so strong. If that community starts to fall out, I'll probably sell my ape, right? Because the reason I got in it is because I think people misunderstood how strong that community was. I'll get out of it if the community starts to fall apart. So every project is going to have its own rationale for getting in, and if I think other people are underappreciating that information the same way I social arb equities, then I'll trade in to a project. If I think that the information changes or I was wrong, then I'll get out of it. There's no different than trading an equity for me. It could be days to years or decades. I do think that people are still underestimating what a CryptoPunk can be in a sustainable multi-decade NFT world, to go back to the absolute original. CryptoPunks will be in every history book. They'll be in every art class, literally in no time. Within a few months, they'll be in every art class, right? Like, we will be learning about this in perpetuity. As long as NFTs are a thing, the bigger CryptoPunks will get, right? It's just because it's a part of human history now, of digital history. How much does that make them worth? $1 million each? I was on a text chain last night with an NFT text chain I'm on, and I posed a question. How long do you think until the floor hits $1 million? Because I can't believe the floor is at $250,000 already. And I said, I made a prediction, and I could be totally wrong, but I had to throw it out there. I said that CryptoPunks would have, if the crypto market is stable and continues to grow, even slowly over the next 2 years, I think 2 years from yesterday, it will hit $1 million floor. And a couple people said, oh, we think it's going to be before that. Like they think if ETH continues to grow, they thought that it would hit $1 million floor before 2 years. I have no idea.
The
if
$1 million floor
right
has a lot of dependency on what happens to the price of ETH, right?
But I don't think ETH needs to double or triple from here for it to do that. I just think it needs to continue to stabilize and just be a stable, slowly growing cryptocurrency. Like I don't think it needs to like double, triple, quadruple for that. It can go up 10, 20% a year, which is nothing, right? For this thing to maybe 4x itself over the next couple of years. That's just my thesis. But I'm not a pricing guy, right? I don't price securities. I don't have a target price on my stocks, so I don't have a target price on my CryptoPunks. I literally have no idea. It was a fun guessing game. I was like, I don't know, 2 years feels right, but who knows? It could be down to nothing in 2 years. I don't think it will be. We'll see. What are your thoughts? I want to know, but if we're making predictions on what we think is going to happen to the NFT landscape, I know, Jordan, how you feel personally, okay? But what I want to know, Jordan, is not how you feel personally. Taking in, this episode and the fact that in the past even, I'm one person, you're one person. The market doesn't do things based on rational things, even if you feel the rational thing to do is to never buy an NFT. I know you feel the rational thing is to not have cryptocurrency, okay? You're not a big crypto guy at all. But what do you think will actually happen in the marketplace?
Well, that's what I don't know, right? Because I don't appreciate it. I don't have any sort of frame of reference for this. So to me, it's worthless. Like there's no value at all. And so I'm not going to put money into something that I don't think has value.
Seems pretty biased to me, though. Like, why would you let your personal bias? Why would you let your personal biases intersect your investment? Like the first thing thing I always talk about is it's not what I like. It's not the product that I like or the brand that I like.
There are stocks that I won't buy because I don't think they're worth the value that people are trading them at. So I won't buy them. It's the exact same thing. I don't see the value in this, so I won't buy it. And I don't know what's going to happen to it. I don't know if there's going to be another country that comes out and says, we ban all, crypto. Does Japan come out and say, we're going to ban all crypto? Those are like literal, those things could happen. Now, are they? I don't know.
That's a fair thesis.
They do. I don't know. I also think it's a waste of electricity. I don't appreciate the space.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, I care less about that kind of stuff as a money-making investment vehicle. That I'm just trying to filter out anything, all those side baggage things that NFTs and crypto in general have. Filter all that out. Think of it as a marketplace. Think about it as what are human beings willing to buy and sell. Jordan's not going to buy and sell these. Other people will. I want to know if other people are going to buy them today and they're going to be worth more tomorrow. That's all I'm trying to find. And for me, I think you're right, Chris, on CryptoPunks. I think they will be this historical benchmark that will stand the test of time. Whether it's $1 million, I don't know. That doesn't seem rational, but a car will cost $1 million at some point in the future, right? So, I mean, a normal everyday car, not an actual. I mean, you can buy those today, but I don't know what kind of attributes a CryptoPunk needs in order to be worth $1 million today, because there hasn't been one that's. I mean, they've traded for more than $1 million, but the floor is not $1 million. So I'm watching those closely. I'm not in, there's just too much noise right now, too many projects being spun up, too much hype, the hype engine for each of these and the life cycle of those hype engines. I just can't get into any of them right now just because there's so many and anyone can hit the publish button. I hit the publish button and gave away my Crypto Daves for free. I'm going to try to sell one. I'm going to list it today and just see. I'm going to list it for like, I don't know, $1 million. Because if one of those sells for $1 million, all of the others just increased in value. Chris, if you'll buy one for $1 million, I'll buy it back from you, and we'll have a lot of transaction volume on the project. Which is another thing that I'm starting to wonder about some of these insane prices. Are they not just flipping back and forth between people who want to prop up the value for a thing? There's no regulation. There's no way of knowing.
Hot sports opinion right there.
Other than you can see, you have great visibility into all the transactions. You can see which account it went from and to and back to. But there's, I mean, I have 2 accounts. I could just flip them back and forth between 2 accounts.
So let me answer that, Dave. First of all, I've been thinking about that since day one. I've always thought about that NFT. I was like, that's my biggest concern early on in the NFT days. It's so easy to do that. There are actually, collectors now. There people can kind of see where things are moving, who's buying them. There's a lot of people behind the scenes looking out for stuff like that. But certainly it can happen, and it will happen. I think on the bigger projects, I don't think it's as big of a risk because there's too much volume going around to real collectors. People kind of see who they are. They know who they are. I will say this. Social arb investing is my life. It's what I've always done. It's the only thing I know how to do exceptionally well in the investment world. I'm not a fundamental guy. I'm not a technical guy. I think one of the biggest opportunities as a social arb investor is arbing human behavior. Okay, because Wall Street is really good at arbing transactions, right? Like they arb credit card transactions, they arb market data, they arb fundamental stats. But Wall Street and institutions are exceptionally bad at arbing culture, arbing human behavior, arbing consumer behavior, right? Arbing trends and products and brands and cultural shifts. And I think that this is a massive cultural shift in human behavior. I've been trying really hard to figure out what makes someone want to spend money on an NFT, what makes someone want to hold that NFT, what is driving the excitement beyond just flipping and making some money in the NFT world. Is this thing temporary? Is it sustainable? That's been my life the last few weeks, and to a greater extent the last few months, less so. Because I think that there's a huge opportunity. It's a speculative thesis on a massive shift in what is driving this purchasing behavior. I think historically, very few people have had an opportunity to express themselves through art, whatever art means to you. I think NFTs are dramatically changing the landscape, bringing art, again, whatever that means to you, to the masses. And whatever that means, whether it's a digital traditional art like you're seeing for millions of dollars, or whether it's novelty like apes and things that people can relate to, or anime. Like, I just feel like in going forward 10 years, if I look at the past 50 years, what proportion of the general population of the world was engaged in art? A microcosm, extremely small. When I go forward 10 years, I think NFTs are going to bring a double digit, maybe a high double digit percentage of the new world into the art space through NFTs. Even if some people think it's insane, they're connecting to it through culture, pop culture, things they relate to. It's just a very different world, okay? The mind thinks very differently now. The next generation thinks very differently. The digital mind thinks differently. People that are into crypto think differently. I'm really trying to get a grasp for that, because if that actually happens, I think this shift and the opportunity in NFTs is monstrously huge. I admit it's a thesis, but it's one that's so massive in scale, and I'm going to remind everyone of something. NFTs are global. Anytime you have something that's global, that bridges every single culture, every single economy in the world, do you realize that these NFT projects we're talking about right now have a total of a few thousand owners each? A few thousand owners each. Do you have any idea how tiny that is? A few thousand people each in these projects have driven billions of dollars in transactions. So if the NFT catches wind and over the next couple years becomes more normalized, not with Jordans. We don't need Jordan.
No,
but
you don't need the billions of dollars to appreciate these things. It's just like regular art. You don't have to be a curator or a collector to be able to go and appreciate a Monet in a museum or something like that. This will open it up, but just by the right click. You can just right click it to your
Some
desktop.
people will do that. Some people will do
you
that.
Don't need
but
to spend your
what I'm
Ethereum
saying
on
is
this.
some people will always think like that, and that's okay. The same way I will always think I will never pay $2 million for a red square. I would rather buy an original variation of a red square for $2,000 or $10,000 versus the 2 million. Okay, I will always believe that, and someone that really understands art will look at me as a lowbrow art person for thinking that, and that's okay. There will be people there's lots of people in the world. You don't need all of them. Right now, we're not talking about getting 1%. Literally, we have only thousands of people in these projects. So if those thousands of people simply grow into hundreds of thousands of people to millions, not billions, but millions, which could literally happen in a year, okay, 2 years, the excessive demand for a small number of projects that are considered to be durable, that are considered to be quality, whatever that means, whether it's fake or not, the same way art can be considered BS or not, that will be a massive social arb opportunity of a lifetime. And that's why I will not ignore the NFT space. I'm going to spend some time on it. I believe it's important. I believe it's an opportunity. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to ignore it. And if you guys don't like that we did this episode today, I'm sorry. It's not going to be every episode. We're not going to do a lot of NFT episodes. Once in a while, we'll do an NFT update episode. It's not going to be all the time. The majority of what we do is still always going to be equities, right? But we'll do this once in a while. So
I mean, this is a different form of equities.
Yeah, that's all. It's a different form of social arb. But please please like this episode, even if you hate my thesis. Please like it and subscribe. And by the way, dumbmoney.tv/Discord. Let's talk. We have an NFT channel, right, Dave? I think we have an NFT channel on Discord. Let's talk about NFTs just generally as an investment, and then let's try to discover
that's my problem right now.
the next project.
NFTs aren't general; they're specific to some underlying asset, and so the NFT technology might be great, but some of the art is pretty suspect. I mean, it's pretty spare, right?
Well, let's talk about that. Let's try to find.
Right now.
I love some of the art.
Projects that are
I want some of the art. I don't want to necessarily own the right to sell it to someone else, but I love some of the art.
Okay.
This may be the new way to decorate your walls at home. Download
Dave,
a JPEG of something
Dave?
you don't have rights to.
Yeah, I could replace that jersey with one of Chris's CryptoPunks.
Dave, there's
his
actually
ape back there.
more art being done right now by more people than ever before. And you're right.
I love
I don't know
what
if
it's
that's
doing
true.
for the art
I think
world
people
to
have always
have
been
all of
doing
these.
art. Artists are gonna artist. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna create.
Yeah.
Jordan,
for
by the
you,
way,
Jordan? This
what?
isn't for you, Jordan. This is for Chris. My Crypto Dave exclusive #1 that I own, that I retained, is now available for 300 ETH, which is about $970,000. Under $1 million, Chris. Get in early. Now's your chance. It's available.
Listen. No.
If you bought it, I might buy it back for 301 ETH.
Listen.
And then we'll be newsworthy.
Jordan, I love that you press me on this stuff and you challenge the thinking. I just want you to know I have tremendous respect for your viewpoint here. And it's a critical part of the ARB opportunity is because I think that your view is really the majority view. And in a lot of ways, you're not wrong at all. It's just, I think there are the diversity of how people think about things in 2021 is more diverse and divided than ever before. And I just think there are more people every day that, whether they're crazy or not, are going to be okay spending decent chunks of money on NFTs, what we consider to be NFTs, for various reasons, okay? Yeah. And not just as investments, but for various reasons.
I think there's 100% chance that you're going to make money. I mean, you already have. Potentially, you haven't actually made the money yet, but I do believe that you will make a lot of money doing this.
Yeah, I have.
I'm not willing to go spend that time in these, online forums and really dive into that community. I'm gonna spend the time with my kids or sleeping or something productive. I'm just not gonna do it.
Well, Jordan, it's my job. It's my job. It's the
same
way
I've got the same job.
Else.
Like we have the same job. I'm just choosing to use my time differently than you're using your time, and that's fine.
No, listen, that's fine. What I'm saying is if every minute I spend doing that, 1 minute less I'm researching an equity, which is why it will never be the majority of what I do, but it's a piece of what I do right now because I feel like we are in this moment of time when there's a lot of opportunity there. But listen, it has nothing. it's just and by the way, most of the time I'm doing it when my kids are asleep late night versus watching another episode of XYZ show. So it's time well spent for me. But I get your side. Different opinion, totally different in my opinion of this, man. It just by the way, don't say that I didn't make money yet. That's like saying that someone that has 800% in gains on Amazon, you didn't make any money on Amazon over the past 10 years until you sell it. That is literally the most ridiculous thing ever. No, you made exactly that much money in Amazon. You basically know more or less within a very small, maybe with NFTs, you have to provide a little more room because of the liquidity issues, but you know within a margin of error what your assets are worth.
So you've got, well, I think it's a little bit more abstract with NFTs, right? Because
I just said that more margin of error due to liquidity.
So you've got two issues going on. One, you've got the ETH price of the asset, and then whatever currency you need to convert that to actually make it useful for other,
it's a real-time market, Jordan. It's unlike stocks, it's 24 hours a day.
I get it. I'm just saying that both of those things are fluctuating at all the time, and so you've got to take both of those into account.
Hey, can I just tell you something? If there's a massive, catastrophic thing that would destroy the stock market and NFTs, and it happens on a Saturday afternoon, and you can get to it quick enough, but before other people in like 60 seconds, you could actually exit an NFT. You can't exit any of your stocks on a Saturday afternoon, okay? I'm just telling you, in many ways.
Check out on a Saturday afternoon and not spend my entire time worried about,
You don't have to. All you have to do is get Twitter alerts to things that are happening in the world. And like if you see that California just divided itself in a 9.0 earthquake, you might have an opportunity in 30 or 60 seconds to exit that the NFT, clear it out. Zero chance you can do that with stocks on a Saturday afternoon. Zero. So in many ways, it's a more liquid market because it's tied to the crypto market, which is 24-hour global market with massive liquidity.
Okay, but if there's an event that causes the stock market to go to zero, that's a major catastrophic event in the world. The thing that could trigger an NFT to go to zero would be Logan Paul decided to sell his, or Chris Camillo decided to sell his, and there's no longer any interest in this particular little project that someone started up, and they created 7,000 of something, and people bought them, and then
cancel the
nobody wanted them
artists
anymore.
that created these in the first place because they found out something about him, right?
No one's saying that there's not massive risk with each NFT project. I think comes with its own risk. Dave, I'm by no means am I saying that there's not a massive amount of risk, but some projects after a while, it might be Logan Paul that accelerated people's interest in a project the same way that Gary Vee was the impetus behind CryptoPunks. But CryptoPunks have gotten way bigger than Gary Vee at this point. In 2 years from now, if Gary Vee sells a CryptoPunk, no one's going to care. Like, great, Gary Vee started the CryptoPunk rage, but at some point it completely outgrows Gary Vee, and the Bored Apes are going to outgrow Logan Paul, right? So like it has really nothing. I agree. There's risk factors, but there's a lot of gray areas when it comes to this. Like any other investment, a lot of gray areas. It's not black and white. There are theses. The thesis might be right, might be wrong. I have no idea how we look back at this in 2 years and all the ways that we were wrong in today's episode or right. It's just like it, but it deserves speaking about because Dave, you have to admit, regardless of what plays out, there is a massive speculative opportunity here. We don't know exactly how it will play out, but it's global and it's a massive cultural shift for how people think about art, investments, spending the trillions of dollars that have come out of the crypto, right? Fortunes, right? Like there's something here that's worthy of a deep conversation and for any social arb investor to take a really close look at.
So Chris, other than the NFTs that you've already purchased or ones that Logan Paul has purchased or ones that Gary Vee has purchased, like ignore those three accounts. Are there any trending up and coming NFTs that you think might be about to pop off?
Not that I'm aware. Like by the time they start trending, things happen pretty quick. So like I'm always looking at, there will always be new projects coming up every week, and you just kind of have to follow the buzz and then get in the communities and see if they're legit. And then you have to make a gut instinctual call on, is there enough here that's differentiated that you think this project has potential, and if it does, you can try to get in on the minting. And if you can't get in on the minting, if it's already happened, you can just start buying them on an open sea, hopefully quickly, because you could see these things. When I was looking at that one project, the Force project, on Saturday night, they were, I think, at 1 was the floor, and like I was just debating back and forth. Should I buy it tonight? Should I buy it tonight? I ended up not buying it until the next morning at like 1.6 or something, and now the floor is at like what, 3.7, 3.8, 4, something like that. So that's 4x your money. If I would have just bought it on Saturday night instead of Sunday morning, it's still like 2.5x my money in a few days. And it's just all, listen, everyone's different, right? Every project's different. I didn't understand the Penguin project. The art didn't resonate with me. I know like Leon, who's in our community, was like pinging me on the Penguin project. And I was like, I don't really get it. I don't really understand what about it would be different, but it did get a lot of traction. The Penguin project, what are they called? Pudgy penguins. Like, I felt like it was like timing. I think it was the timing of that project that made it special. Like, these other projects were spinning out of control, and right then and there was an affordable project, a random affordable project that was getting a tremendous amount of buzz, and everybody felt like they could invest in it. So I felt like everyone felt like they can get a piece of that one, and it just kind of like started to spiral upwards.
But just how do you know that this project isn't going to just take a big crypto poop one day?
Nobody knows, Jordan. I don't know. But I can't find a thesis that I was comfortable with, so I didn't invest in it. But nobody knows, Like, I invested in crypto poops a while ago. Not that much money, a couple $1,000, and they didn't even sell them out. Like, the second I bought them on the launch, it just never even got to 20% sold, and it's completely worthless. My crypto poops completely. I hid them in my account. Completely worthless. A couple $1,000 under. I'm experimenting. I do not know that much, and you have to know what you don't know. It's so early in the game. If anyone's going to come out right now and call themselves an expert on picking the next big NFT project, I would be really skeptical on that, because this world is even Gary Vee is out. He's experimenting, right? And he was there on day 1. I'm learning, guys, and the best way to learn is to really get yourself deep in, so you have an understanding there. I'm learning. I don't have all the answers. And by the way, speak to me 2 months from now, and I might be like, I changed my mind. I don't know if any of this NFT stuff has legs. I'm open-minded to changing my mind on it. And you have to be as an investor.
Agreed.
So that's it,
I'm just watching this space very closely, because I see it as an investment opportunity, but there's just too much instability and too many unknowns right now for me to put money into a project that someone just whipped out of thin air and decided to hire an artist and to come up with some attributes and to come up with a backstory and to publish a website and to say, okay, now this is a new currency. Good luck.
Yeah, the same way an artist comes up with an idea and just does a whole set of paintings, and it could take them a few weeks and they make a few million. Like, how much an hour are you worth? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like I understand there's value in the painting.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and like my father-in-law is one of the, honestly, like legit, I think one of the very best watercolors I've ever seen in the world. He's been a pretty well-known California watercolorist. But his paintings cost thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars. And I'm like, dude, you get so much it's like Joe Sabiri is like Joe Sabiri art. I don't even know what his website is, but he's incredible. But like, when you buy art from him, you're basically buying the amount of time it takes him to like go out in the forest and, paint an original art piece and buy the supplies and just finish it. Like, you're getting so much value. There are somewhere people painting with not water, painting with acrylic, right, that are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for their similar amounts of time. Is it really worth that much? Not to me. So I'm never going to pay $200,000-$300,000 for that's one of his art pieces. I'm never going to pay $200,000-$300,000 for a piece of art. When, my father-in-law been written up as one of the greatest watercolorists, right? He's in the Watercolor Association, and like, I'm so proud of him over his career, of what he's done. Thousands of dollars versus hundreds of thousands. So there's irrational art everywhere, right? And like,
Yeah,
but
and
people
we're
pay
we're
it.
just painting it with pixels and algorithms, and I'm really thinking that my time travel tokens might have to be unique computer-generated NFTs to fund the Time Travel Research Institute.
I think so too. And by the way, we were originally going to call this episode "Investing in the Metaverse" because if you go out far enough into the future, and we have no idea how far we have to go. Some people will tell you 5 years. Some people will say 50 years. This whole concept of having a metaverse, which already exists with a lot of kids, a lot of kids now, I have 11-year-old twins, spend more time in their metaverse, which could be Fortnite or any gaming platform, than they spend in real life. And if that continues into the future and as technology improves, I know one thing, my kids will spend more money on metaverse clothing inside of Fortnite, which is proprietary, than they want to spend on real clothing, okay? So if that
What
general
age were your
concept,
kids when they started doing video games, Chris?
last 2 years ish, like
Okay.
last couple years, so like 9.
Okay, so because
But,
mine are not
also
there yet.
no, and listen, here's the thing about my kids. My kids spend an equal or more amount of time outdoors playing sports and all that other stuff.
Right.
So like they have a really nice balance, but they still, all of their friends, like almost all, even the super sports kids who are super into sports, still spend a considerable amount of time in stuff like Fortnite, buying all that stuff, and they're really into it, like in their off time when they want to just chill. So if that continues, guys, when you kind of pull that out of the game, and there become metaverses where you can buy things and have durability in your characters, that once games start allowing you to license or carry your characters into those games, which is what they're talking about doing right now with avatars and with NFTs. That's what Meebits are all about. The child of CryptoPunks is Meebits, and they're fully three-dimensional. And Dave, you might want to buy a Meebit, because like these Meebits, the whole concept is you can take them into future metaverses and video games, and you could have them for 30, 40 years, and they become a version of you in that world. Now, I know that we're like, this is ridiculous. I get it. But we
No,
don't.
it's not ridiculous. I'm gonna design my own avatar. I don't need to pay Meebits for one, but
So
I
think,
get
Dave,
it. I'm gonna be living
Dave,
in this world in the future.
Yeah, you're the type, and that's the thing. Like, you're the type of person, Dave, where you have the capability, and you're creative enough that I see you creating your own NFTs for yourself, if for no other reason. But you got to realize there are a lot of people, Dave. You're an anomaly. Like, you're a prodigy as far as being creative is concerned. Like, a lot of people just don't have that, and they would prefer to adopt someone else's creations, like yours or any
You do
other
have to
artist.
pay to create the NFT, though. So there is, you got to outlay capital.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
but I mean,
yeah,
I'm just
you have to
saying.
mint it, and that costs money.
You have to.
There's a concept here that if the metaverse,
There's some gas money to get it authenticated on OpenSea, but I made a video over on Hey There Dave here that shows you how you can do it for free. Anyone can do it. I did it, and
yeah,
it
but what
just
I've
is a little
heard
gas
is right
money.
now, and I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. That right now it's expensive because, so basically the at least with Ethereum, that raft is
the cost
very
of
constant,
gas
right?
money.
There's only so many slots.
The Ethereum gas money is high,
so you
and
have to
that is what you
compete
need
to
to
be able to get
authenticate
into each one
into
of
the
these
blockchain.
slots.
Yeah.
And since a lot of people are creating NFTs right now, that's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
So slightly more than free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that will, over the course of years, that will resolve itself. And like anything else, Jordan, I think hopefully crypto and NFTs and gas fees will get way more efficient, hopefully over time. These things tend to happen. So like, yeah, I agree with you right now. It's not efficient, right? There's no debating that. It's not efficient right now. It is what it is. Some people will tell you that's the price you pay for what it will become in 10 years, right? And it's just like the Industrial Revolution was so unbelievably inefficient, right? When we first started industrializing the world, it was disgustingly pollutive, but we are way cleaner in the way we do things today as a result of the Industrial Revolution. So you can make a case, Jordan, that all this terrible inefficiency that crypto is and NFTs is leading to a
Here's the best part. It gets worse with time. So they say with Ethereum that they're going to move to proof of stake, but they've been trying to do that forever, right?
Forever?
So it will
They
be
have been
more
doing it for
efficient.
50 years. Come on.
There will be more
Years, but
efficient ways
since they came out with proof of work, they've been trying to go to proof of stake. It's not happened. Maybe it'll happen. I don't know.
And it may not even be
now,
Ethereum. It may
everything
not
just
even be
gets
Ethereum. There will be
extremely more
something.
computationally expensive as it goes along.
Henry Ford's factory cranking out Model A's was less efficient per vehicle mile than today's factories.
No, what I'm
right?
saying is that
We'll
works
get
backwards, right? So the way that this works is backwards in that, at least with proof of work, the further the time you go along, the more inefficient it is by design, right? And so there's no, unless they change up what's going on under the hood, which has its own problems for equality.
Jordan, I believe that over time, things always, throughout all of history, things have always resolved. They've always figured out ways. Like, I'm not going to get into this debate right now with you because
everything's been better, faster, cheaper over time.
Always, throughout all of history.
Except Bitcoin. It's gotten more
Bitcoin is so
over time.
new. Yeah, but Bitcoin is nothing, and there might not be Bitcoin in 50 years. Bitcoin might be the dumbest thing in 50 years. Yeah. It will evolve to something completely different. Like I'm not. That's an argument that I think you will ultimately always lose. You just have to. It's just a matter of how long it takes to lose.
Much like CryptoPunks, Bitcoin is the OG coin, right? I think it will always have value because of its place in history. But I'm thinking there has to be something more efficient, more transactional, more that will come along that will replace it as a transactional thing, and it'll still be a collector's item.
Or it evolves, Dave. We just don't have
much
the
like
answers,
the gold.
Right?
You know, gold has a fixed price by weight, but if you had some gold that was hit with a hammer by an ancient Egyptian, it's worth more per ounce than melted down gold bars, right? So there's a historical
this has
element.
To do it all with some of my issues, but that's fine.
And I think it has a lot to do with some of your issues. I think the historical nature of both CryptoPunks and Bitcoin will always have more value than its underlying, technology.
Maybe, I don't know.
Drop the mic.
My blood pressure from this episode. And
if
now
you guys
we have
want to learn how to
that no one's ever going to watch.
No, it's only an hour long. If you want to learn how to make NFT art for free, this one, and that, by the way, that thumbnail, that guy is available for $1 million right now. If you want to buy that NFT, can't wait for Chris. Chris is the only one who will buy
it. Dave pumping his NFT YouTube episode. I love it. Hey, this has been fun, Dave. I can't wait till you get back. We do have some social arb episodes ready to go. We also have an interesting episode for Thursday, if we're able to pull it off on Thursday. We had, I think, what I thought was a great social arb pick on Tapestry that went bad. It's looking a lot less bad yesterday and today, right, guys? But we want to do an episode on when you are right, when you win with your social arb thesis and yet you still lose, how that can happen, why that happened with Tapestry, and why position sizing is so important in those situations, and also how you deal with that in the moment. Little teaser, I didn't sell any of my Tapestry and I'm feeling really good right now. So, but we're going to address that because I think it's a really important topic, because it will happen time and time again when you get it right or you don't understand why a stock isn't behaving the way you think it should behave. That's a really important topic that we're going to dive into on Thursday.
And there's quite a few of them. There's, things that we have talked about, like Discovery, which is 30% off of its highs. Things that were the big lockdown stocks like Zoom that's off 30% from its highs. The travel, Carnival, Norwegian types. I mean, there's a lot of things that we've talked about that are no longer doing well. And so
it is doing well. That was starting.
Oh yeah, but Dave, Discovery was like acquired, and I got out of that the second the acquisition was that's where the information changes. So the thing about
that's what it's all about. It's figuring out when the information changes.
Yes.
And even Peloton is off of its highs by 30%.
But you know what's not off anymore as of today? Maybe slightly. That? Signet Jewelers. Cruise back up. It's over $70 again.
I thought for sure you were going to talk about some oil stock or some natural resource company.
You holding that Hewlett Packard, Jordan, into earnings this week?
Is it this week? Yeah, it might be.
I thought so.
It's up 1% today.
Yeah, you know why? Because Best Buy came out and said that people were spending money on home office stuff. I I might actually have to buy a new printer. The second we were having printer issues last night, and literally the first thing that popped in my head was, "Damn it, Jordan!"
You know what? You know what I
It's
bought though?
cute.
I bought a laser printer. I bought a monochrome laser printer because I don't ever need to print color. And this thing
Nah.
pumps out pages.
Jordan, you
Pumps
might
them.
need to print out color with your kids though, occasionally, like we do. So you might need to get a second printer in the next couple of years for your kids.
Make
Anyway,
make
all right,
HP pay for your printer.
All right, let's hop, guys. If you want to keep track of what's going on in the NFT space and dumb money, let's talk about it on the Dumb Money channel, on the NFT channel of the dumbmoney.tv/Discord group. That's where we want to have those conversations. Let's have that debate. Let's find the next big project together using our social arb skills. Let's identify a differentiated project that we think is gaining traction early. Let's identify it together, and hey, I'm up for experimentation. Let's do this the same way we do it with equities. For anyone that's interested in that, and we promise not to bug you with a ton of NFT stuff. Just time and time again. Once every 2 to 3 months? Does that sound cool for you guys? An NFT every few months?
It's about all I can
Or
handle.
whenever there's something major happening. I think, we could try to do it every 2 to 3 months, but if we have to do one next week because, the NFT world blows up again, we have to do one next week.
What if we find an insane project that we're just like, dude, this is so insane, we got to talk about the same way we do a social arb trade. If you don't have the notification button hit, it could be on a weekend, because unlike equities, we're trading this 24 hours a day. So I could see us doing like an NFT episode where we find something super interesting to talk about on a Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning or Saturday night. So please hit the notification bell. It's really the only way you'll find out about that.
Even if it's just like an impromptu thing. Like I remember when you bought your pack of Pokemon cards for $375,000. That came together on a Saturday, and we just jumped on the stream real quick. So
Totally.
it can happen anytime. All right. So
Totally.
subscribe,
Totally.
like, bell, comments, notifications, all those good things. That's going to do it for this one.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We are Dumb Money. We will see you back very soon.